So, as Bernard said, SLRB is both contracting and supervising. It has a leverage effect of about 5 to 10% of consumption and emissions of CO2 in Brussels. So the political will was to decrease the energy costs of the tenants, also because of social reasons. And their idea was to act with a management contract, since it's a public society that negotiates its functioning with the government. So the government, as was described by Grégoire, has two bodies, the SLRB and the local real estate public service societies. You have 33 in Brussels. So the passive service is an obligation for all new constructions and also for heavy renovations. So I will first touch upon renovations. It's not as ambitious in terms of figures, but we're not going to wipe it off the map and then build everything brand new. We have to see what the existing qualities are. So the government set a standard for 60. We were wondering whether we could push it a bit further, but this creates a lot of turmoil within the sector. A lot of questions arose. There are all architects, as Grégoire was saying, but there are also old managers that are not easily convinced to change. So we bumped into these managers, but we managed to force them to integrate those very standards. So those standards are calculated thanks to the PHPP. That was already described by Grégoire this morning. And thanks to the terms and specifications, the real estate public service societies are imposed the calculation PHPP in order to have a vision of the capacities of the project developer, of its capacity, and then we have first 8 tabs, and then we add 3 more tabs for overheating, and we end up having a pretty clear project. So where are we now? We started in 2011, last year. There are project managers being assigned. We had threats, though, saying there would be no final offer, and we see we have a significant number of offers of applications. The PHPP is well integrated. There is no big problem about this. So within the designing of the project, the energy aspect is well integrated, and we even go further than the standards imposed by the government. So this is a rather positive trend, far less turmoil than at the beginning. So as my colleagues from SDRB said, SLRB is the main contractor. We asked to go from 8% of social housing up to 15% of social housing. And before signing the management contract, the ambitions in terms of energy efficiency were much smaller. But since 2011, since the signing of the contract, we've moved up to a commitment for passive building. And here you can see the distribution of the various projects that are rising. You see the impact of the passive standard. There is also a development in Brussels. You see there is already an obligation to make passive. And we are keeping a price per square meter that is maybe different from the one you have, because we have our own calculation. But you will see that it's perfectly acceptable. Thank you so much for your attention.